you, Ricky, for making sure that we all know that this is being recorded. And I appreciate, I'm so glad that we were able to get that in there. But yes, please, now is the time. We are being recorded for posterity and for our good meeting. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Troy Cline. He is the EPO mission lead for the MMS mission, the magnetospheric multi-scale mission. And so he was a high school mathematics teacher and educational technology coordinator at a high school in Virginia. And his responsibilities with MMS include planning and coordinating and implementing and managing the MMS mission's outreach activities. I find that he is a phenomenal person to know, and he is very knowledgeable about all things MMS and has developed some amazing resources. So I'm really excited that he's here tonight to be able to talk to us. He also works with Pat Rice out of Rice University and works closely with her. But I am really, really excited that Troy can be here tonight to share his leadership skills and abilities with us. So welcome, Troy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here with you guys, and just watching all of you from different places in the world or the United States is pretty cool. And I was also up late last night or early this morning watching the Lunar Eclipse until about 3:30. And I'm in D.C., so we had serious rain, which is still raining right now. And I was able to, right at 3 o'clock, the clouds parted just a little bit, and I could see it. And then it covered back up. So it's kind of a miraculous event as far as I'm concerned. I've also been in Barrow, Alaska. So I've been through Alaska in parts, and that was, I think I must have lived there in a past life. That's just an extraordinary place. And we were also able to see the aurora while I was there too. And if the video plays well for you, or whether it doesn't, I'm going to give you a link to an amazing video if you haven't seen it here in just a little bit. So would you like me to go ahead and start? And do I share screen? And Andy, can you walk me through what I need to do?
So Troy, the screen is yours. You may share away, and you just do your thing. And we we do have, if Ricky or Nancy, my chat window disappears. I don't know where it goes, and so I don't have it. But we'll be monitoring the chat window for questions that will come up during your presentation, and we will find places to ask those. Of course, the members of our community know that if they would like to unmute their microphones and ask Troy questions, I know that Troy loves questions, so he'd be glad to answer them. But share away, Troy. The floor is yours.
And I basically, do I have to hit share screen, or do you do that?
Yep. Nope. You're in control. So hit share screen, and then it's going to come up and give you options to choose from, and you just choose the appropriate screen or inappropriate, depending on the reaction you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, let's hope this is appropriate. What I'll do is start with the PowerPoint, so I'll have it do, I'll see, share screen with computer sound. Hopefully that'll do it. To share the computer, please insert Zoom audio device. Type your password to allow this. Oh, great. Let's hope I know what that is.
That's not a Zoom thing. Did you just hit share screen?
Yeah.
And that's what came up? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I hit some password, so it was something on my computer. So
awesome.
The ball is rolling. We'll see what happens here real quick. There. Awesome. And I will go ahead and start this. What I did is I put together a presentation for you guys about the magnetospheric multi-scale mission. As Andy mentioned, I've been working with the mission now for a couple years. And it's interesting that Pat and I have been able to work on a mission like this for as long as we have before it's even, while it was being built and before launch. And it looks like this mission is going to launch, we hope, right at the beginning of March. We had a little bit of a government shutdown, as you guys know, and we missed our launch window as a result of that. So they've been scrambling lately with the mission, trying to figure out a way so we can, and I have somebody at the door. I'll have to let them go away. It's probably Jehovah's Witness, I think. Anyhow, the first slide that you're looking at is actually a space weather movie, and I can click, I'm going to see if it'll play for us and see what happens with that. Give me just a second. Sorry about it. I have no idea who's at our door, but I'll just ignore that. And this movie basically is a great thing to use in your classroom, and it lets you show a little bit about what space weather is, and I like to start that, and you may have seen it already. It's I'll start playing it right now. If somebody can just give me a thumbs up if you can hear sound.
We can hear
On Arctic
sound, but we
nights,
can't see
the
anything.
aurora often flames across the winter sky.
Not able to see the video?
No, we can hear the audio, but we can't see the video. So you might have to share that part of your screen. There you go. Now we see it.
Well, that's
I'm only seeing about the top 2/3 of it.
okay.
Oh, interesting.
Of my screen?
Yes, of your screen. It drops right about where you see the hillside. Right and left, it's fine, but vertical, I can see the top, but it cuts off. Now you're scrolling up, but now I'm losing the top. You're magnified to 131%. I'm wondering if that may not do it.
No, my screen is just showing a normal screen. That's why I'm a little bit confused. I'm not sure. I'm not scrolling or anything, so I'm wondering if this is something different. I'm actually on just a slide, which is it should be showing you a picture of the aurora period with space weather and Earth's aurora across the top. And is that what most of you are seeing?
That's what we're seeing. Check in your presenter screen and the percentage there. I think that's what Vic is saying, is that that maybe has something. I'm seeing what you're seeing, Troy. I don't have the same problem that Vic does, but it could be, he could be right. If you can lower the percentage of your slide, it might work.
Okay, I'm figuring out how to do that. So let me.
Anybody else a master at PowerPoint?
Well, I don't see a presenter screen either.
Well, Troy, just go ahead. Don't let it throw you.
Yeah,
I think it's in the.
Oh, here we go. It just popped down. So I've got share, annotate, remote control, audio, stop video, more, and settings. I'm going through all of your settings to see if I can see anything that lets me do that. Well, we'll see if I can share the video, and if I can't, then I'll just tell you about it, and I have the links for you guys to go to so you can look at it. Let's see here. So here's the video. We'll see if this works for you.
Troy, that's what the, oh, there it goes. Nope, we got it. Yep, go.
Awesome, there we go. All right.
What is it, and where does it come from?
This is only about 3 minutes long.
This is where the tale of the aurora starts, on the sun, a star of average size among billions of other stars in our Milky Way. The sun acts as an enormous power plant. The energy is created deep inside the core of the sun. Here the temperature is over 14 million degrees, and the pressure so enormous that hydrogen atoms are squeezed together into another element, helium. This nuclear reaction releases energy. The light radiates outward from the core of the sun. In the outer layers, the heat moves to the surface in huge eddies called convection cells. These electrical currents of charged gas create magnetic fields inside the sun. In some places, strong magnetic fields push their way up through the surface. They slow down the eddies of hot gas. The surface cools, and darker sunspots appear. The electrically charged gas is called plasma. The plasma drags the magnetic field further outwards. The magnetic field stretches and twists like a rubber band, and then the rubber band breaks.
I'm pausing right there because right there where you see the two bubbles pulling apart and magnetic fields just connected, they came together and connected and then disconnected. That is called magnetic reconnection and disconnection. And that happens all over the universe, and it happens all around the sun all the time. It happens all around the Earth all the time, which you'll see in just another little bit of this video. And that is exactly that point where the magnetic field lines are coming together and pulling apart is exactly the point that we're trying to capture with this mission I'll be telling you about. And what's so impressive about this is right there where that snapback happens, where those two field lines come together, it's such a massive explosion in magnetic fields and plasma and energy that it is the the fastest and most powerful particle accelerator in the known universe. And it happens all the time. And we don't really know a whole lot about how that happens at the point where reconnection, disconnection occurs. So let me play just a little bit more of this.
Several billion tons of plasma is hurled out from the sun. This is called a solar storm. The solar storm can reach speeds over 8 million kilometers an hour. After 6 hours, it blows past the planet Mercury.
I'm going to pause there. Just noticed when the magnetic fields and plasma went past Mercury, not a whole lot happened. It just sort of deflected and hit the planet and the surface and went around it. And you'll notice that on each planet that this magnetic field from the sun interacts with, there's a little bit of a difference, and it all has to do with the planet's core, if it's molten or if it's solid. It has to do with the atmosphere, the size of the planet, and all kinds of other factors. And what we'll do is, and we'll also, you'll notice, you may have heard that Mars, it has a totally different experience with magnetism and magnetic fields. Basically, its core died a long time ago, and it's solid. No longer is the center of the planet creating this huge magnetic dynamo, essentially, or creating a huge magnet out of the center of the planet. So it no longer has a magnetosphere to protect the planet in this way, like the Earth does. So let's play just a little bit more.
After 12 hours, the planet Venus. And after 18 hours, the solar storm reaches Earth. When the solar storm reaches our planet, something strange happens. An invisible shield, the Earth's magnetic field, deflects the storm. The magnetic fields couple together and create a funnel where the gas streams down on the daylight side of the pole. This is the daylight aurora.
Okay, and I'll pause right there. What you noticed is in the north and south pole of Earth, some of the plasma particles went into the north and south pole, and that does happen. But the majority of what you see is, especially the nighttime aurora, is caused by a whole series of other events. As these field lines move around the Earth, they'll come back to the end, into the magnetic tail of the Earth, and then watch what happens as they become compacted just with all of the energy and everything that's happening.
Magnetic fields stretch further back and couple together. The magnetic rubber band breaks, and gas from the solar storm streams along the magnetic lines towards the poles on the night side. This is the nighttime aurora.
Pause that right there. I'll go back to, hit stop share, so I need to share my PowerPoint slide. Okay, so we basically just saw what happens, what causes the aurora, and a lot of people, some know about it, many people don't. They have several misconceptions. So in a nutshell, all of this starts because there's magnetic reconnection where magnetic field lines come together on the sun because of sunspots and where things get jumbled up and confused that create the sunspots. These magnetic fields become entangled with each other and eventually explode. and release lots of energy and plasma out in different directions. Sometimes the Earth is in the way of that plasma and into that cloud and that magnetic field, and that can impact the Earth, and it often does. And we've had several events recently where that's been happening. You may have heard some of it on the news. And the end result of that, it starts quite a domino effect that eventually can cause visually what we can see as the aurora. But these storms create a whole lot of other issues, especially for us today. Probably a few hundred years ago, we may not have cared so much as a human race about what was going on with what was causing the aurora and all of these magnetic storms. But today, we rely heavily on technology around the world and our satellite technology. And these magnetic storms and these giant solar storms can disrupt all of that in just a matter of hours. So we're trying to learn as much as we can to try to stay ahead of the game and try to protect our technology as much as we can. I mean, we can also, as you know, there can be serious blackouts that occur, like in 1989 when the whole northeastern coast in parts of Canada just blacked out for a couple days and or longer, and that was pretty intense. The slide you're looking at now, what I'd like to do is I just want to show you some of the science side of this. Some of you may already be very familiar with a lot of this, and but what you can also, as educators, take a look at the slides that I'm using, because what we'll do is share these with you, and you can use them in your classrooms or however you'd like to present. Take out of it what you'd like, and just to make these abstract concepts maybe a little bit easier to teach than using your hands like I'm doing right now, which is always a lot of fun, pretty much a mime. The slide you're looking at right now shows you the Earth, a little tiny dot on the left side of the screen, and that, of course, is the Earth shown for size comparison. And that is one solar flare coronal mass ejection going on that you can see, and that shows the size comparison. This is a great place to talk about how big the Earth is, that you can fit 110 Earths side by side through the diameter of the sun, and that we're 93 million miles away. Thank God, because otherwise we wouldn't be here very long. This slide is a great way to show people how the rest of technology is affected. And we have radio wave disturbances, electrical grid and power systems are disturbed. You can also see how there's a little airplane there in that slide. And I just lost my, there we go. And that shows you, like, air passengers and can also receive some radiation depending on how high they are. And right now we're having a little visitor. I'm sorry, but my little cat decided to jump up on the kitchen table with me. And we'll see if she's going to take off now. Sorry about that. Her name is Marilyn. I'm not going to tell you why, but it's true. She's black with a little white speck on her lip, so we named her that. Now, in order to study all of these different effects of space weather, which are very important, we have quite a fleet over the years of satellites that are specifically studying various effects of space weather, the solar wind, the sun. For instance, we have, and some of these you'll notice haven't been launched yet. We have the RESI mission, SOHO, SDO, WIND, Voyager. We have a lot, IBEX, all of these different satellites, which you can see. And this is a great slide. And they're roughly, some of them are in roughly the location that they might be in space relative to this picture. And it just shows you that each satellite gives you just one piece of the story about space weather. And it's basically, we're just reaching out and touching the stars one bit at a time and collecting that information to try to put this jigsaw puzzle together to understand our solar surroundings. Now, the MMS mission, as you can see in this slide, there are 4 satellites. Each one of those satellites, they've all been built. They're actually at Goddard Space Flight Center right now. And they've been undergoing rigorous testing to get ready to launch in March. And right now, as a matter of fact, they took all 4 satellites, stacked them in a tower, which each satellite is about 4 feet high, 11 feet wide. So you have quite a tall tower, and they moved that into a shaker room because they want to simulate how much the satellites will shake during launch. And we have to make sure that if any parts are loose or there's any disturbances with some of the instruments, they have to know that now, because once they're in space, it's impossible now for us to go there and to try to fix them physically. So we have to do everything we can ahead of time to make sure these satellites are ready. And that's actually an awesome opportunity in workshops with kids and teachers to talk about the different types of jobs and careers involved in launching missions like this. Especially at the beginning of a mission, we have the science and engineering. And the engineers that work on this mission are undertaking a task that is just hundreds of times even more complex than even the Apollo missions were, and we all know about those and how exciting those were and how complex they were. But imagine having 4 satellites that you're controlling individually from the ground, and you're going to launch them into space, fly them around the Earth for 2.5 years in a jet-like formation in the shape of a pyramid, in a tetrahedron. And we're going to try to keep them closely together, and we'll monitor where they are so that we can fly them through any region where we think these magnetic reconnection events can happen. And right now you're looking at one of the satellites, or 2 of the 4, and we're seeing the top and the bottom part of the satellite. Now, all of these images now are appearing on the MMS website, and in the chat room a while ago, I placed a URL, which is the nasa.gov URL /MMS, and hopefully some of you have already been jumping in there and checking out the website. There's an education link in the far left-hand side of that homepage when you get to it. That will take you to yet another website where all of the education materials we'll be talking about exist. And also, as many of you, of course, are pros at NASA Wavelength, you'll be able to find all of our products that have gone through product review, and pretty much everything I'm showing you tonight you'll be able to see there. The slide that's up right now, this can be found on the MMS website that I was telling you about, and also on YouTube. These are new videos that just came out, and they're videos that are put together usually towards the beginning of a mission before it launches. This will show you something called a beauty pass, and I want to see if I can get this one to play without hopefully screwing up the flow of things here. I'll click on that and we'll see what happens. There we go. Cannot open that specific file. How about that? Well, I won't worry about that. Actually, we'll go to the website, and I'll show you that in just a little bit, and we'll go through a little bit of the website and talk about it. But that is called a beauty pass, and it basically is going to show you all 4 spacecraft as they zip around the Earth in formation. It's actually really beautiful. Now, if you remember back from the video that we just watched, you'll see this is another picture of the Earth with magnetic field around it. And the part in the far right-hand side of that screen is where the field lines are coming together and causing a magnetic explosion. And we have lots of video and animation of this. And of course, up until now, we don't have any close-ups of that process. That's what the MMS mission is going to try to do. We're going to fly right through the region where you see that explosion happening in the tail. And hopefully all 4 spacecraft will go through that region and capture it. Now, what's really fascinating about these spacecraft is they each have around 25, 26 instruments aboard each satellite. And they all are configured to study different things having to do with this entire process. And most of those instruments, when they fly through a region, a magnetic reconnection is happening, it will all happen in less time than you can blink your eye. And that storm, and where this reconnection event is occurring, is flying through space at thousands of miles an hour. And the spacecraft are also flying through space at a different velocity or different angle at thousands of miles an hour. And we are going to try to bring those 2 events together so that we can capture it. When they do intercept a storm or a magnetic reconnection event, all these instruments aboard all 4 satellites synchronistically will fire at the same time. And that information will connect us to all the information of what's going on right at that reconnective region, store it, and as the satellites eventually come back by the Earth in their orbital loop, they'll send the information it feels are predetermined to be the most important and valuable for us. And in 3D, we'll have all of the information data-wise down on Earth in just a matter of hours, which I think is just actually incredible. And as the satellites go around the closer side of the Earth, depending on their orbit, by the time they come around to the other side of Earth, the scientists will have looked at the data, figured out what's going on with it, and what they want the satellites to do next, and they'll send information up from the ground to those satellites so as they jettison and go further out in their loop out either through the magnetotail or towards the sun and out of pretty much out of range in certain ways for us. The satellites will know exactly what to do. So every time they orbit and they come back by the Earth and close, we're getting information, analyzing it really quick, and sending it back to the satellites and giving them marching orders for the next round. And that's going to be going on for 2.5 years nonstop. which is pretty crazy. This picture you're looking at now, that, as you may recognize already, is a Landsat image of the Grand Canyon. And the reason we're showing that is because the magnetic reconnection region, where these giant field lines come together and touch, that is about the size of the Grand Canyon. So now imagine the Grand Canyon, flying through space at 80,000 miles an hour, and in a blink of an eye, we're going to try to capture that with 4 satellites. So that kind of gives you kind of an idea of the scale of what it is we're trying to do. And I won't spend a whole lot more time because I know we won't have a whole lot more time on this, and I'll have all these slides available. But this is showing you the 4 spacecraft in their pyramid formation flying through one of the regions of Earth. And you can take a good close look at that. And as I mentioned before, not only does reconnection happen around the Earth and the Sun, but it happens all over the universe. So we're going to study it in our closest laboratory, which is our magnetic field around the Earth that we can reach. And we're going to study it there, and if we can understand it there, we can understand how magnetic reconnection actually happens all over the universe. This is an awesome, for the kids involved that love instrumentation, this kind of shows you a map of what it looks like inside the satellite and all the instruments. There's an awesome online interactive that you can get to with the MMS website where you can actually play with where the instruments are and take a closer look at that. These are just a picture of our engineers and what they're doing, and this is a great place to jump off into some of the career resources that we have that we can share with you, and that's actually the satellite, one of the satellites being built over to the right. This is a fisheye lens that I was able to take with my iPhone of the clean room. And I fit a little fisheye lens you can buy that goes right over the corner of your iPhone. And then you can go in and you can take these incredible views like the one on the left, and then you can flatten these views out and do a panorama and get a beautiful image of what the clean room looks like. And as the kids may not know, clean rooms are where they build these satellites, and they're able to control the air and the particulate and the amount of dust and particles and all of that and the climate so that they can build these satellites in the cleanest environment possible depending on what the mission is. There's a lot of information there about that. The rocket you see over to the right, this is an Atlas rocket. And this is going to be one of the rockets that will take all 4 satellites once they're stacked on top of each other. We'll stack them up, put them in the very top, the nose cone of that rocket, and we'll launch it into space. And that's what they're actually doing right now, is testing how these satellites fit together and how we can pack them, stack them, and then ship them up into space and deploy them. So that's going to be an exciting time. I won't go through that one. This slide that I'm looking at now, if you can maybe just raise your hand or something, if you've had a chance, if you're on a computer and you've already been looking, have any of you gone to the website to take a quick look while I've been talking, or to see what's going on there? Okay. But what you're looking at is a picture of the home page of the satellite, and there's a website that you can get to, and when you get there, you're going to find all of the interactives that I was just talking about and a lot of the resources. Over in the bottom left-hand corner of the home page, it says related links. You'll be able to go down and you'll see education and public outreach. When you click on that link, that takes you to the Lego models, the paper models, the bookmarks, all the really cool resources, and the one that I'm going to talk about here in just a second, which is the iBook. We have our social media sites, Facebook, Twitter. You can definitely check that out when you get there. We also have a series of short video podcasts that were created by the NASA Edge team, which are an amazing group of people out of Langley, and they travel all over the agency and they find all the science and put it in understandable terms to the general public and to people like me so that I can understand, what's going on. And so it's part of the educator's job. Of course, as you know, working with NASA, you have to take the science, translate it to multiple levels so people in various places and age levels and ranges can understand what they need to connect it to what makes sense for them. This, we have 4 vodcasts up right now. The 4th one just came out, and it's talking about modeling, mathematicians. And it actually, depending on how much time we have here, the iBook that you've heard about, the MMS created with several activities and resources, which are super exciting, created through a partnership with the International Society of Technology and Education, is explained in this video podcast that was just released about 3 weeks ago. So if we don't, depending on what time we have here tonight, you can go to this video and you can watch an entire explanation of what that resource is. It's about the last 10 minutes of that video, so by all means you're going to want to go there and do that. The paper models that you can download from the website are easy to do, and they're just simple, a little bit of tape, and they punch out, or you cut them out if you download it from on the internet. And you can create 4 satellites, and over to the right, you can actually just take a little bit of gold paper and stack them just like the real satellites are going to be stacked when they launch. You can also create mobiles and models. I use some coat hangers in the picture on the bottom right-hand side to create the model. And on the back of the bookmark, you'll find an activity, which is yet another scale model activity. You'll see right in the bottom left-hand corner there, it looks like a penny. What that is a stack of about 5 pennies that you can put together, tape together, and then use spaghetti strands to create the antenna and booms for the spacecraft to get a real nice idea of the scale. And at that scale, each of the antennas that come out from just a penny-sized model are about 1.5 strands long a piece of spaghetti. Because in real life, each one of those antennas goes out to about 160 feet a piece. So we're talking, 320 feet is the actual width, tip to tip, of each of these satellites when you include the antennas. This is what a lot of people we've had a lot of fun with, is we worked with a group of first LEGO robotics students out of West Virginia University. And they actually went into LEGO design and created the MMS model as closely as they could get it. It is truly remarkable what these kids did. And they got it right. I mean, we had scientists and engineers go through and comb over their work and offer suggestions, and the kids were working with the engineers, make sure the scale was right as best you can with Legos. We had to remind a couple engineers, these are Legos. It can't be as precise as you're trying to make us make it. And so finally they got it. And so this is a real simple to do model. This one took me about 2 hours to build, about 300 parts. The kit, if you order it from the Lego Kids, and you can get to the link online from the website, is about $50 for all of those Legos. But these are parts that are available all the time to people. A lot of people who have piles of Legos, most of these parts are the parts that you would probably already have a little bit of access to. And if not, you can go online. We have a Lego list for every single part. You can individually order every one if you really want to get into it, or you can just order the kit. We also have a model these kids designed that is about 2,500 pieces to make a really detailed Lego model. And so far I haven't seen anybody else but us download that one. I'm not sure what the problem is there. It's only about $500 for that one, I think, with all the Legos. This I had to show you. If you see over to the right-hand side of the screen, there is a giant model of a spacecraft. That's the ACE spacecraft. And years ago, what they did is they got together with a high school and with their shop class and with their teachers there and students and created a life-size model out of balsa wood foam core and various pieces and parts and created the satellite. We had a school out of West Virginia, a little tiny town called Paw Paw, West Virginia. It has a little technology school of high school, middle school students. I think there might be 130 kids in the whole school. They have an incredible shop and technology department, and these kids are award-winning Lego designers and model builders. And they came to us and said, we'd like, with your help, to build a life-size model of the MMS spacecraft that will make collapsible so we can take it around the state of West Virginia, maybe bring it to Goddard, and then take it to the Clay County Science Center in Charleston, West Virginia, which has about 60,000 people or so, I think, about every week to come through. And the kids are going to be placing videos of the careers that can be involved in MMS, and they're already designing it. We've already had a scientist go out and meet with the kids at the school, and we're hoping by the end of this school year, we'll have our first student-built 5th model of the spacecraft. So we were joking that if anything went wrong with one of the 4, then we have our 5th students built. So I told them to get their clean room ready. This is just a quick show of all of the videos. We have 20-something career videos that are about 3 minutes apiece that talk about all the different careers involved in a mission like MMS. And by all means, it's really good, and you can use that. We'll be putting up more resources connected to that. For anybody who's a math teacher, we have a math guide. That's in NASA Wavelength. Just type in MMS mission and geometry, or look at one of our lists that we've created, or just type in MMS mission and you'll find this math guide. And it's exceptional. It's also built in such a way with one of the instructors we used who is really into making sure that girls are part of math and science. And there are parts and nuances in this book that make it even more appealing to a broader range of students, both male and female, and I thought that was pretty awesome. Okay, and then that leads me to the iBook. And Andy, I think you can hear me now or talk back to me. I don't know how much time we have.
You have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, and
I really want you to talk about this.
yeah, so I'm going to do that now and drop everything else.
Excellent.
And that's about all it's going to take, because really learning how to use this iBook is really going to be up to how you interact with it and what you need to use it for. So what I'd like to do is tell you the story of the iBook. And I'm going to actually open up, we'll see how I can make this work real quick. I'm going to open up the iBook in iBooks. And let me see if I can get down into this animation. I'll get rid of this animation. Have my iBook open, and then I think if I hit share screen, hopefully this will.
You should be able to choose that. You should be able to choose the iBook application out of the screens that are available to you. It has started. There we are. Well, we see your desktop.
Okay, well then that's good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see.
We can see the iBook there. Just not. It's not taking up the whole screen. Just so you know.
Yeah, let me see if I can make it just a little bit. Yeah, it's not going to, I don't think. Which is okay. There we go. I'll just stretch it out just a little bit more. I thought I could just hit one little button. Here we go. I'll try this. There we go. That helps. The iBook can be downloaded from, many of you already tried to download this into your computers in a Mac or into your iBook? Hopefully, because it's a large file, and the reason it's so large is in this version of it, it came to our attention with working with the International Society of Technology and Education that many teachers, depending on where they are, some have very powerful internet connections, but a lot of people have intermittent connections. And that means that they can't always rely on the internet to be able to bring in the movies that they need when they need them. And so this iBook was created with all of the videos and all the how-tos and everything incorporated and built into it. And what we're working on this year is other versions of it that will be much smaller files, but they will require you be connected to the internet like an ebook. But for now, if you go to one of the links, and we'll share that all out with you, you'll be able to see a zip file that you can download with instructions on how to just install it into your computer or into your iPad or smart device. We are getting it, and we're placing it into iTunes pretty much as we speak. That's been quite an ordeal, but apparently, according to ISTE, the International Society of Technology and Education, we're almost there, and anytime I'll be able to send out the word that you can go to iTunes and download this, which will make things a whole lot easier. Now, let me tell you the story of what the iBook is, for those of you who may not have looked at it or heard about it yet. About 2 years ago, I went to an ISTE conference, and I saw this incredible demonstration of digital fabrication, 2D and 3D printers that are starting to take off in different schools and regions, and people are, printing up all kinds of three-dimensional types of objects. I saw an incredible education display showing how you can use it in education. And these people built, they made a book called, it was about wind turbines and energy and how you create electricity using wind turbines. And I watched what they did with this storybook. It was a physical storybook called a transmedia book. And in it, they had a story of a little boy, in this case, who was in Africa, and he wanted to bring electricity and some power to one of the villages that he lived in. And so he worked with some people to learn how to build a wind turbine. And in the book, they walk students through how to physically use just 2D printers, which would print out just flat paper with tabs and perforated lines, and you can actually create paper models of machinery parts. And the goal in this book was for 4th and 5th graders to create wind turbines out of paper, add a couple magnets, some wires, and actually create a working wind turbine that they can test. And if the wind turbine works, what blew me away is they took a couple wires, created a circuit, physically inside their storybook, and when they blew into the wind turbine or the wind turbine created power, it actually lit up LED lights inside the storybook that lit up a picture of the lights inside huts and buildings inside an African landscape, which represented the little boy's village. I was so blown away by that, I ran right up to him. I said, we have to do this for this mission. You have to come up with something. Let's work together. Long story short, we worked with several authors, and after a lot of review, they came up with the MMS Transmedia book. And the MMS Transmedia book is a storybook for kids. It's a middle school book. Talks about a little boy who's on a bus. He gets a tweet from NASA saying a solar storm is in progress. He gets a little worried about it. He doesn't know what kind of impact a solar storm would have on Earth. Goes and talks to his teacher. Teacher says, hey, let's learn about space weather. And then she contacts an engineer in the area who happens to work with MMS. And the engineer says, hey, here's a series of magnetic activities I want you to do. And if you do those, write an essay of what you learned, send it to me. And if you know, I really believe you've worked hard on this, I'm going to come to your classroom and we're going to do 4 mission design challenges. So what this woman does as the engineer is she shows up in the classroom and walks them through 4 major challenges, including building paper models of the spacecraft, deploying antenna with centrifugal force from the spacecraft as you spin it, kids putting solar cells on, kids will create paper models of spacecraft. They're 3-sided, 4-sided, 8-sided. Kids put solar cells on those, spin them around. They take a reading with an anemometer and figure out what kind of energy they're getting from it and why MMS might have chosen 8 sides as opposed to 4 or creating a circle. And they get into this entire incredible engineering activity. What you have on the screen in front of you, all of that is to lead you up to what is the iBook. The iBook isn't just a replication of the student storybook. This iBook was built for teachers and educators. So the students have the hard copy book that you can use in the classroom. It goes through the story and the activities, questions, review, all that really cool stuff. But the iBook, ISTE came to me and said, we want to make this we want to fill it with how-to videos and pictures of the activity, the parts and pieces you need. If you've never done this before, we're going to give examples of what you can do if you don't have the right parts and you need to substitute. And they packed it full of that kind of information. And not only that, but they placed in it about 25 or 30 education technology-based extended activities, including how to journal activities, journal a student's progress through comic book writing. And that was one of my favorite ones. Another one is having kids walk through a career field and build a resume as if they're an engineer or a scientist or an artist or whatever it is they might want to do with the mission. And all of this is explained through video inside this book. The first screen that we're looking at in the iBook, I have on my screen right now, is just the introduction, which is pretty nice. And in the beginning, there's a little video that you can click on. And hopefully you can see that video. Can you hear it?
Hi, we're the authors of this iBook.
Yeah, and these are the authors of the iBook who actually are physics teachers in Pennsylvania, and they explain how the iBook works and why they did it. We have a quick vodcast.
Hello, my name is
and
Troy
of course
Cline,
there's me.
And
so I'll speed past
a
that.
multitude of activities having to do
But
with
this explains everything about the iBook and a quick overview of how this iBook works, how it connects to careers in science, engineering, technology, and mathematics. And you can listen to that as you go.
Troy?
Yep.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but is this only available on Mac? Some of our teachers want to know, or does it work for, or is there a way for people who are non-Mac people to have it available to them?
That's a great question. And right now it is a Mac product. What we have, though, is a group of people in Pennsylvania that are creating a PDF version of it right now. And I'm also going to be working with ISTE to create a platform for the Droid and for, I think, which one is it? The Kindle Fire, I believe, is the next platform, and the ebook versions. And those should be out within, I'm hoping, within a matter of about maybe 4 months. But we'll keep an eye on that. As soon as they're ready, I'll let you guys know. But right now, they're available on a Mac and in iBooks. So any iBook application you can get on your computer, it should play for you. Does that answer that? Okay.
Yep, that was perfect. We just have a couple minutes left.
Okay. I'm going to skip through. You can explore the iBook on your own, and you're going to be able to see this is what's really nice about the iBook. I want you to understand is that you can manipulate the iBook to get how-to examples with pictures of every single activity that's inside it. You can grow and shrink different screens to show different things that you'd like to see. As you can see, I'm doing that right now with my iBook, and it shows you what you can do with that. There are audio explanations. We have a sticky tape activity, which is real simple to do with a video file of what to do. You can actually use this as an instructional video in your classroom by just clicking on one of the buttons, and it starts playing. And it walks you through the activity, what to expect, how to do it, all the different kinds of activities you can do with that, and why you're doing it. And then we have several videos about how static electricity affects things aboard the space shuttle, and we have some videos of the space shuttle and people doing experiments there. This is an extension of the activity showing you how to use digital storytelling to get further into the iBook to help kids do journaling. It's totally packed with really amazing amounts of information, student publishing, and a lot of online current models of types of educational tools that you may or may not know about. And then finally, I'll skip over to chapter 4, or maybe I'll go on over to 5 and 6. You'll be able to see a design challenge, how you can go in and use simulations and screen capturing software to be able to have kids make movies about their experience with the iBook and with the materials that are inside. There's an online resume builder that's part of this. And what's really awesome is all of this is connected back to the content and science of the mission. So it's not just about a plethora of activities that you can get, but they are all related and intermingled into one theme. If you don't have time to just focus on one mission, this can be extended out to just about anything that you need to use it for. So if for no other reason, even if you can't do a lot of space science or engineering in the classroom and you're limited, you can use the iBook to jump off into about 20 other different applications that affect all of your curriculum and all the disciplines that make learning a whole lot just good educational technology uses of these things. And I don't have time to show it, but you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to see the 4 design challenges, including building models of the spacecraft and everything I was just talking about. And there's a picture in the center of somebody who decided to use a Dremel tool and deploy their antenna with a Dremel tool and a teacher's assistant to deploy antenna with centrifugal force. And I was like, you know, you have to put up some safety measures for that one, because all I need is a big weed eater cut loose in a bunch of 4th grade classrooms and high schools and a bunch of decapitated kids. We don't want that, so there's a lot of safety measures that are placed in there, and you'll be able to see that. The rest of it talks about the career videos and how to build your own Lego models, paper models. And I'm sorry that this is such a speed through this, but I wanted you at least to be able to see what's in the iBook so that when you get a chance, you can go download it and take a look at it. It is 100 times more complex and better than I've had time really to go through. I wanted to share some of the science and why we did this. So I can take some questions if you'd like.
There were some questions that were on the chat a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. Several people had questions about the daytime versus nighttime aurora.
Okay. The daytime aurora happens because there are particles that go from the sun as they sweep past the Earth, and they go right into the North and South Pole, and they follow the magnetic field lines. And what I'm trying to do right now is make my screen bigger so I can see all of you, but I'm not having too much success. But and that is
change it to the 9 squares at the top of your right-hand screen.
Okay. Which I'm not seeing anywhere.
You might need to stop sharing.
Oh, that's probably
you have to stop sharing. Thank you.
There you go. All right, thanks. There we go. That helped. All right, now I can see all of you. And I'll use my hands. So you've got the Earth. You have particles going into the North and South Pole directly, pretty much from the sun. They're just being funneled with the magnetic field right down into the North and South Pole. The thing is when that happens, they call it daytime aurora, because aurora are really kind of happening all the time. And it's just you can't see them because the sun's too bright when it's day. So a lot of these particles that come down from the sun side and go into the North and South Pole, they tend to call daytime aurora. And you really can't see them unless you have infrared or you have some sort of instrumentation that you can detect what's going on, like our satellites. The nighttime aurora occur for a whole different set of reasons. That's where you watched the magnetic field of the sun and the earth go way back into the magnetic tail of the earth, and you saw the explosion way back in space, which looked like it was happening in sort of this, like a giant, long, stretched out windsock behind the earth. That is moving so much, and magnetic field lines are coming together that it creates a substorm, and these magnetic fields come together, and they explode and release energy. Some of that energy shoots right through the field lines in the nighttime side, back into the north and south pole of the earth. The rest of that energy actually jettisons out the magnetotail. So just imagine how much energy is involved in this for that to happen. Now, when these particles go into the north and south pole and follow the field lines, they're excited. It's a lot of electricity, and that goes and it impacts particles and molecules that are already in our atmosphere, like oxygen and nitrogen and all of that. And when this electricity and these energized particles impact oxygen, oxygen gets excited and swells up in its atomic shell. And the only way it can let that power go or to go back to its normal state is to release that energy in the form of light or photons. And oxygen lets off green and red. Nitrogen lets off violets and purples and all those different hues. And depending on what altitude these particles are in will dictate really what color you're going to see in the sky. And depending on how this energy is entering into our system and into the atmosphere, depends if you're going to see ripples and all of these different types of effects. And it also is very dependent on your point of view. So if you're looking directly above, you're underneath an aurora as it comes down, you're probably have a good chance of seeing the rippling effect from your point of view, or if you're close to that. If you're way off to the side, further down, and towards the Arctic Circle, you're going to probably see more of a diffuse view because you're kind of viewing a lot of it from the side. So you're just going to have a different point of view. That answer that?
I think that was really thorough, Troy. You have such great answers and such a great way of saying it. I know we're out of time, but Molly did want to know about if the daytime solar storm is stronger or more dangerous than a nighttime one. Is there a quick way to answer that really quickly, or is that complicated?
Well, it's a pretty complicated answer, and I'm not sure. Actually, I will find out. I don't know that I know the answer. I know that the magnetic storms as a whole, when they impact us from the sun, it's not really a matter of if it's daytime and night sighted. It kind of all happens. You're going to have a little bit of both going on, and as a whole, the entire magnetic field of the Earth is affected pretty much at the same time. And so it's affecting the whole system. And what really makes a difference on how powerful a storm is which direction and which side of the Earth these magnetic storms sweep past the planet. So there's a whole reason for that. But if we get hit just right, it can just create an enormous electrical issue in our entire magnetosphere and on Earth. And the electricity and all that energy has to have a place to go. And so often when it goes down into the ground or follows field lines towards the ground, that energy tries to hop off and conduct and go to different places. It'll actually follow the Alaskan pipeline, all this energy, and cause it to corrode quicker than it should. It will follow power lines, and that's what happened in 1989, and it blew out transformers all over the Northeast. When we have storms like that, they send out alerts to pilots who might be flying over the pole, because when you're going through those regions, the North or South Pole regions, you don't have as much of a magnetic covering because you're in the pole where these magnetic fields are coming in and out of the Earth. So you don't have as much protection, and they don't want those people flying over those regions during storms like that because of the amount of radiation. Actually, Concorde pilots were limited to the number of flights they could fly because they were so high up in the atmosphere that they were exposed during storms, especially to quite a bit of radiation. And the last thing I'll say about that is we were very fortunate with our Apollo missions. We actually went up between several of those storms. Had our astronauts been in space, spacewalking, especially going to the moon or out of our magnetic field of the Earth, that could have been a very interesting story. They would have been exposed to quite a bit of radiation during a solar storm. So they had some understanding of space weather then, but nowhere near the amount of information we have now.
Thank you so much, Troy. I know that people are writing, and I'm so glad that Nancy Alley put in the chat that to remind people this is being recorded and that it will be up very soon on our YouTube channel. It is a lot of information and it is really dense, but Troy, you've done an amazing job. This is like the third or fourth time I've heard this, and I feel like I'm finally getting it. Because it's so great, and the resource is absolutely amazing. Troy's right. He had to breeze through it. It is very rich. It is very dense, and definitely has wide applications, not just to the MMS mission, but just in how, in general, you can think about teaching. So thank you, Troy, very, very much for all of that. I know we may have more questions for you. You're going to post your slides on the Wikio as well. Because we're a member of the Wikio, I'm sure that if people ask questions on there that you'd be willing to answer them as well, because it's a great place for us to have a conversation after these meetings. So some of you are wondering about where to find these things, and so I want to just very quickly, because I want to be able to show off what I know that Wendy and we have a couple of other things to share during this time. Here's the MMS website, just like Troy put into the URL, and it has a lot of wonderful things. He's also mentioned NASA Wavelength, and I know we've looked at it before as a community. It's just nasawavelength.org. It is a free site for you, and there are some new features that I wanted to kind of showcase using the MMS mission to show you. If you haven't been there in a while, please do go. 4 times a year we go through product review. That means 4 times a year, NASA Wavelength is uploading new resources that have gone through product review. And what that means is that it has gone through some rigorous testing and evaluation from NASA team and teachers. So they are evaluated by actual teachers. They're used, and then they're also connected to the AAAS standards, as well as we are working on a crosswalk with the NGSS as well. 2 new features, if you haven't been there in a while, is that we do have this blog feature, and if I can find, there we are. So we have a blog, and the blog is to focus on what you might not know is available for you in NASA Wavelength, specifically around topics and around different themes, such as we had one about NSTA. Right now, we had one about girls in science. Right now, it's about Earth Week. So those blogs will showcase saying, hey, here's something interesting coming up that you might want to connect to your classroom, and here are some resources that you can do with it. Troy also mentioned making lists. This is a brand new feature. You do have to create a login in order to do this, and all we need is a email. And you can also use your Google account or Facebook, what have you, to be able to do that. And once you do that, then you can create these lists that Troy was talking about. So this is my login, and these are my lists. And I use them for lots of different things. This is one that I use for an after-school club that I work with. This is one I made for you all when we were talking about auroras. This is just some general stuff that I use with students, this cool sun stuff. I can email these lists out. I can put them in, make them public for other people to use them. But how this can really work with, some of you are wondering about where to find these activities. If I put in the search engine MMS, and that's it, here are all the MMS activities that Troy was just talking about. And they're all right here, including some of the activities that are in the tech book, like powering the satellite, the design challenge, the sticky tape, electricity. So that these are all just under, all I did was just Google MMS. Wavelength will delineate what fields that these fall into, as well as what type of resource that they are, how long it will take you to teach, how much the cost is. I see that all of them are free. And also instructional strategies. So if you wanted to be able to find hands-on learning activities, here are 9 just about MMS that are in here. You can do this with any topic that falls under Earth or space science. You can also search by topic, but I'm going to stick with MMS right now. So if you had a login profile, you could click Add to List, and I could put in here and say, this is the bookmark. If you aren't familiar with the punch-out bookmarks, you should totally email Troy. They're amazing, but you can also print them right off here and cut them out and use them in your classroom. Use as many as you want. And I can add it to a list I already have, or I could create a new list just about MMS activities. Once I've made that list, I can share it. I can keep it for myself. I can share it with students, colleagues, any of those pieces, and it's all free. It stays there once you have created that list. It's there for you. You can choose to make it public and share with other people on Wavelength. So in other words, if somebody looks up that same activity, they'll see that you have it in your list. And I know I'm a curious teacher, and I would totally click on somebody else's list and go, huh, what else is in their unit list that they have that they think is awesome? It's a great way to build a resource. I know I have a couple of teachers I work with here that have developed different lists for the different units that they teach in their classroom. They teach 6 through 8 science, so they have all of their resource lists with all of their activities, their videos, their posters, whatnot, all in one place. So if you aren't able to do the iBook activity and you want to look at some of the activities that are available through Wavelength, it has past product review with glowing colors, may I say, and is here available for you in NASA Wavelength. So if you haven't been there in a while, make sure that you do go. Your tax dollars paid for it, so please use it. If you want to just be able to search by topic, you sure can do that. There are all the topics that all of the resources are organized under. So it's a great resource. It's there for you. It's developed by educators for educators. Please use it. Any questions about that before we move on to Wendy? Laura did have to go. Laura emailed me, and she tried to chat with everybody, and she sent it to me on accident just by herself. Her husband got caught at work, and she had to take her son to his baseball game. So she didn't mean to abandon you, Wendy. I have her notes, and I will do my best to try to support you in what you're doing, but the family definitely has trumped there. So, but any questions about Wavelength, anyone? Or if you haven't been there, please do. Wonderful. Yes, Troy, I'm so glad that you put in there about the videos themselves and the vodcast. I totally would check that out for sure. I will be doing that tomorrow many times during the day tomorrow. I'll be watching those, especially about the career pieces. I think that's really important that students see that there is a variety of careers available through these missions. So make sure that you go and check it all out. All right. Nancy, did you want to help? Would you want to introduce what it is that Wendy has to share?
Sure. So to tie along with the idea of magnetosphere and the solar wind interaction, Wendy and Laura had very generously offered to test out an activity that was created by the ARTEMIS Education Public Outreach team. And in particular, Claire was involved with this, and unfortunately Claire has another obligation tonight, but otherwise she would be here to talk about it. But it involved creating a model for that students create to do a demonstration of the solar interaction with the solar wind and the Earth's magnetosphere in relation to the moon in particular. So this activity can be found on NASA Wavelength, and I will actually, while Wendy is talking, I'll put the link in to the activity directly so that you can find it that way as well. But I think, Wendy, I'll turn it over to you to talk about your experience with testing it. And I will say that after Wendy and Laura, and we had other teachers test it out as well, we did make some changes to it. So the final version may be slightly different than what is described.
Okay. Ready? Okay, I kind of did this activity at the end of my last year astronomy class when my seniors had already graduated, and I ended up only having about 4 juniors able to do it. So we made the model, and the instructions, we figured it out. Now I'm looking at the version of the activity when it's been all typed up and everything, and it looks awesome. So we had a little bit of a hard time putting it together, but we got it together. And then I could not find the sand that's used. So I used these little round things that you put on cookies, and they ended up bouncing all over, and it didn't do so well. But we got the gist of it. I'm not quite sure what age level this is at. It might be middle school. but I think it does a good job at showing the students that the moon, when it's in full moon phase, it's in the magnetotail, and then it's shielded by the solar wind, as opposed to other times when it's in its orbit, how it's not shielded. I'd like to see a cross-sectional view of this model too, and I don't have astronomy this year, but maybe next year I'll have my guys make a side view of it, because I think that would be interesting to see, both the I guess the view looking down on it and from the side. I don't know if anybody even knows what I'm talking about, this model, or so it's hard for me to.
Can you share your screen, Wendy? Do you have something on your computer that?
I don't. I'm just looking at
No worries.
I'm just looking at a copy of it when I'm talking, so I don't know what is even the name of the thing, because it didn't have a name when I did it.
A new spin on the solar wind.
Yeah, right. And where I would teach this, I was thinking about that, and I go through the very beginning of astronomy. Before I say anything to them, I do the case of the mysterious events, and so they don't know anything, and then I go into all of that stuff with that first thing on space science sequence on the sun. And then I go into a lot of the Themis stuff. So I think that even before I do anything on the phases of the moon, I could go from Themis then to Artemis with this activity. I don't know what more I can say. I did some of the questions with the kids, but not a lot, because I just had so few kids left after the seniors graduated.
Sure. Sure, Nancy, I'm going to share my screen and show the actual activity that Nancy put into the chat box, and maybe that might show me. I have not looked at this. Full disclosure, I have not looked at this yet. I was hoping after this meeting I'd have time to be able to look at it, but I'm going to share my screen and see if what you're seeing will help describe what you're talking about. Maybe you can kind of recap the lesson for us just a little bit. Can you see that okay? Is this what you're talking about, Nancy, this picture?
That's a diagram of it, but that's not the actual model.
If you go to the PDF version, I think that's what I'm looking at.
So download the lesson plan or the PowerPoint?
Not the PowerPoint.
Okay, I'll download the lesson then.
Yeah.
Look, we're collaborating. This is awesome. My computer.
So on that page, there's kind of three sections to it. There's the PDF lesson plan, which you can print out. Yeah. There's also a PowerPoint, which you can use with your students. And then there's a series of videos that show you how to make the model as well.
Okay. If you just go to the appendix, it doesn't have a page number on it, where it shows the picture of the thing, where you're looking down on it. Keep going.
Is that it right here?
Yeah.
I don't know how to make it small. I need Vic to tell me how to make it smaller. Should they do that? Here, does that help?
Yep.
Okay.
Good. So that's the top of the model looking down on it, and then you have a funnel, and you sprinkle the sand down, and that follows those lines going down, the purple lines going down, and then there's a pipe cleaner that shows the where the magnetosphere is and how it protects the Earth from the solar wind. And then when the moon is obviously in the magnetotail, because the pipe cleaner is covering or guarding from the solar wind, you'd see that the moon would be protected also. So it's pretty cool. But I think, the level of the activity, I guess, would be, I'm not sure, 6th, 7th, 8th grade maybe. Yeah, there's a picture.
Although
of
I
it
think it would be interesting, Wendy, to do it, and I'm just thinking ahead, it would be interesting to run, because with a high school group, you could run through it. Vic, and all of you high school teachers, correct me if I'm wrong, well, and Wendy, you did it with high schoolers, right?
Yeah.
Is that you can run through the basic part, and then you guys can have a bigger conversation about the what happens if, right? I mean, they have that knowledge base to be able to expand it.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you go back to that site that Nancy put in and go to doing the activity, it shows the video of Claire actually doing the activity.
If I say that again, Ricky, if I go back to where?
To the link that Nancy put in the chat.
Uh-huh.
And then it comes up with all the videos. The last one is doing the activity.
Yeah.
And it's a video of Claire doing the
Oh, doing, I see. Yep. Okay. I see what you're talking about. Okay.
It's a video of Claire doing the activity.
Awesome. Let's see if I can share my screen doing that. I just wish my dad were here to watch me navigating all of this stuff at the same time, because he would be totally impressed that I'm doing this. Okay. But can you guys see it? I'm not seeing it now. Oh, there it is. Can you guys see it? Yeah? Okay. There she is. Oh, Lisa. Oh, cool.
We have to get a resource for where she got that sand.
I'm wondering if, like, through American Science Supply or just an art store. I was like,
I tried everywhere trying to find something that would work, and everything bounced off.
Even the stuff, did you try the stuff that you make those silly little sand sculptures with in the jars?
Yeah.
Like from Michael's, and that doesn't work?
Nope.
I believe that they included the resource wherever they found that particular type of sound in the CS guide in the resources section. They listed where you could find it.
Okay.
What it is.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that is so great that you said in the PDF. I'll look it up everybody, you know what? Everybody can just go download it and look it up themselves. But if not, we will. What a great piece. Nancy, or Wendy, thank you so much for sharing. I was going to share a little bit about what Laura said. She said that she felt like it was really helpful that it was hands-on and had visual parts that were helpful for her kinesthetic learners. That it really benefited to being more than just a picture, and that you just use your imagination, that you could see it happening. She also said that she had to substitute this out of the supply list. She used salt instead of sand, and an unused crock board instead of poster board, and it worked great. So those are two things that she offered that worked for her. And coloring salt is not necessarily easy either, but if you had a different color background, maybe it would show up. The salt would definitely show up as well. So, any questions for Wendy or Nancy or about this resource? Oh yeah, Nancy, it is. Yep, I was thinking it was similar to the water demonstration for the IBEX model as well. That would be a good one to share. I thought of that too. That it's really neat to be able to just actually see the model move. I agree. So, all right. Wow, this has been again another juicy meeting. Whereas an hour and a half is barely enough to even scratch for all of our pieces. We again check that Google document out. I'll repost the link on Wageo about sharing your resources. We've had some really great teacher presentations as well as science presentations, and it's really great to have you guys share what you know and what you have experience with in these sessions, as we know you guys are the ones that are in the trenches using it. So make sure that you do check it out and sign up for something, even if you don't know what it is. If it's something that you want to experiment with and be able to present to the group as well as work with other teachers, that would be awesome. Ricky, do you want to take a minute and update people about the YouTube venture that we have? Ricky, can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, good. Okay.
Sorry, I was just unmuting. So we have the videos from the virtual retreat up. I sent the link so video. So you can go in, and with those links, you can get into our channel and the 2 playlists that we have. The rest of them are still uploading. I had some difficulties with my computer this week. I have too much video on it, so I had to get rid of some of them. So my Premiere would stop crashing. So everything's up to the virtual retreat, and the last 2 meetings should be up sometime this week. So please keep checking, and if you have any trouble getting in to see anything, let me know. But there's lots of good video on there now for you to check out.
And thanks for posting that that document, Ricky, that has the links on there. That was really, I found that really helpful. So thank you. And I'm sure you've been so great about letting us know when the latest videos are posted in between meetings. So I'm sure that I know people will be waiting with bated breath about this meeting. So because you don't have anything else to do, right? But we're so grateful that you're doing that for us, Ricky. It's a great resource for us to be able to have.
I think it will go much faster now that Eagler has cleared some things up for me, and I'll stop crashing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you all. Any last questions or anything, or any last comments that anybody has? Troy, I want to thank you again for coming, and for Seth for being here and helping to answer questions, and welcome to Molly. We're so glad to have you as part of our community, and really grateful for the expertise and experience that you bring to all of us. But anybody else have anything to add before we say goodbye? Crickets. People are saying.
It's been a pleasure. It's been great meeting you guys. I look forward to doing this again sometime. And if there's any specific activity down the road that you see that I can help with, I'd be happy to come in and just focus on the one activity instead of the NASA fire hose of everything we're doing. But I'd be happy to do that. That'd be a pleasure.
Excellent. And as you can all tell, Troy is an amazing educator to work with. He's so full of knowledge and has such a great way of connecting with people. So if you have him come in or Zoom in or do anything, he's an excellent resource to have. So, all right. Well, our next meeting is May 20th. Same bat time, same bat channel. And meanwhile, check out the Widgeo if you have other questions, or I know Ricky will post this when we come. And Troy is part of the Widgeo, as is Seth, so ask away with your questions. Molly just introduced herself today, and let everybody know, the people who weren't able to come tonight, what they missed, so that they want to join us online soon.
And remember that you can still invite new people to come. So if there are other teachers that you think would be interested and benefit from this, perhaps other HEA teachers, GEONS teachers, other teachers at your school, they're welcome to join.
I would say the last thing that we're working on is that we are working on seeing what kind of summer meeting we might be able to have, not necessarily in person or not at person, unless we can all go to Lynn's house, and since she's not on this call, we could just volunteer her and have a camp out at her house, right? Or I know, we'll go to Alaska and camp out at Vic's. We can watch for whales. That perked you up, Vic. But anyhow, we are looking at what our possibilities are and putting together some interesting things. So we will be in touch with you very soon about ideas that we have about how we can make that happen as a community. So, all right. Well, everybody have a lovely night. Get your taxes in. I clearly have not sent mine in yet, so that's why I'm going to keep saying it. It's really about me. It's not really for you. So have a great night, everybody, and be safe. We'll see you soon.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, there's Wendy's kids. Oh, I love it. I love seeing people's kids. It's so fun. And Seth and Diane. Oh, good. Seth, nice to see you. You're still there, yeah. Oh, there she goes. Good night. And Sally, Sally's still here too. I don't know where she's gone, but anyhow. Golly, every time I never think it's not going to be juicy, but they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, we could have gone a lot longer with questions. There were a lot that didn't get answered, unfortunately.
Yeah, no.
Ricky, you could probably stop the recording.